The Friendly Folks podcast is brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor yet, allow me to put you on. Anchor is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or computer so you can get it out the mud. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you automatically on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcast listening sites, as well as providing you monetization options straight off the rip. And on top of that, it's all 100% free. Anchor is for the creative, so what are you waiting for? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And remember, folks, stay friendly. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. What is going on, folks? It is your boy D.Alonzo Lang. Happy Memorial Day to all of y'all out there. To everyone who's fought in the war, done some service for this country. Even though your boy D.Alonzo Lang doesn't fuck with America, I fuck with the people who made a sacrifice for the greater good. It means something to, put your life on the line for your family and, to an extent, your nation, even if I disagree with your nation. With that being said, usually we drop episodes of Friendly Folks on Fridays, but it's the month of May, and, we just couldn't let the entire month go by without talking about mental health awareness. If you didn't know, the month of May is also the month of mental health awareness. And I've seen a lot of great content, a lot of great discussion this month posted on social media, really destigmatizing a lot of myths around mental health and, the problems that people face. I think it was very powerful. I'm trying to find the account that just immediately came to mind. I can't find it right now. Oh well. But I will. If I find it, I'll tag them. Matter of fact, I'll screenshot some of their posts and put it in the promo post for this. Because, it's important that we're having these dialogues, right? We need to have these dialogues because, especially in, people who use marijuana, we find so many outlets for our mental health that we kind of just use to get around the problem as opposed to addressing it, And you don't really process your problems unless you confront them directly. And many people use marijuana to self-medicate, and I'll be real with you, there's a very good chance that, there are negative effects to smoking weed, cannabis usage, especially in people who deal with bipolar disorder and other more psychoactive conditions. However, I think many of us at home can relate to the feeling of a long day at work, or a long day of dealing with some bullshit, and then just the kind of relief that first blunt gives you, Those first two hits when the smoke is just hitting the air and just kind of spreads out and just find a little peace, Us at Friendly Folks, we're always talking about harm reductive cannabis usage, conscious usage, Don't run from the pain. Alright, so I just figured that it wouldn't be right for the month of May to conclude and, your boy D.Alonzo Lang not to talk about it. So the idea of mental health is, it can be kind of intimidating because it's not physical. You don't see depression, you don't see anxiety, you see signs of it. You see the effects of it, but you don't see it like you see a broken arm. If your arm is broken, you can very clearly tell it's broken, and the place it's supposed to be in. A lot of us don't know where our minds are supposed to be. And that can make the challenge of addressing your mental health very difficult. It takes a lot of introspection, but it also takes bravery to be able to, walk towards some of the things that hurt you in order to understand them. And as far as peak mental health, with peak physical health, we look at athletes, people who eat right and are physically active, and their bodies show the results of that. So with mental health, you would think we look at people who, seem to be of sound mind, but even that is something that, you don't see. You can't see the mind. You can't see the mind state that a person's in. And society, I feel like, has confused good mental health for constantly being happy. Because if you're happy all the time, that's cool. But it also makes you a fucking sociopath. Who the fuck is happy all the time? Sad shit happens to everybody. That's why we feel the emotion sadness. Because some shit is supposed to make us feel sad. Like if your dog died, you wouldn't be happy as hell. If you are happy that your dog died, you a sick bastard. I'm not gonna lie to you, G. I phone them like, that shit sick as hell. Like, how are you happy that your dog died? Foul. Yeah, I'm sure that if you know someone who's happy their dog died, you probably had the same reaction to them. It's some shit that's supposed to make us sad, So with that in mind, how do we incorporate that into good mental health and, what the perfect picture of mental health looks like? Well, the truth is, no one knows what the perfect picture of mental health is because, we have some people who respond better to pressure, some people who don't, and it's just, people are just wired differently, just like genetics are ultimately going to play the biggest factors in, your physical appearance, how that defines your physical health. So that makes me feel like, and I'm sure that there are, many other professionals who would agree with me on this note, that good mental health is defined by the flexibility to return back to a normal state when things distressing of any nature, an alarming amount of happiness, an alarming amount of sadness, an alarming amount of anger, the ability to return back to a state of normalcy, and the ability to maintain that. Resilience is a key characteristic in mental health and good mental health, and it's something that is developed through the fire. Pressure creates diamonds, and there are many people who deal with mental health ailments and just different brain chemistry and just a bunch of predispositions that make it harder to maintain that resilience. So mental health awareness is about, to me, mental health awareness is about taking stock of yourself, doing an inventory check, how you feeling about certain things, and also checking in on your people, making sure your people are okay. And in the Black community especially, that's something that, because our community has been so deprived of mental health resources, we've depended on historically as a society. You can see from fucking slavery. Slaves used to put braids, they used to braid their hair to show paths to escape. You know how devoted you have to be to a motherfucker to braid your hair a certain type of way? And this is before we had access to, the oils that we needed back in Africa. These are plantation braids. You know how much that shit had to hurt for it to be clear enough for other slaves to escape? You know, and that's just, that obviously, you know, that in itself isn't checking in on one's mental health. That's, you know, ensuring the other's survival. But in a way, it's the principle, you know, looking out for people. So, you know, check on your homies. Ask how your people doing. Like, make sure they okay. Because, like I said, with our community being deprived of so many resources, black people tend to self-medicate with weed the most. You know, it's unfortunate that that becomes one of our main options, but it's just the world that was constructed for us. But it's not the world that we have to exist in. You know, so the part that you can do for your friends and loved ones is just be conscious. You know, just check on them. I mean, I'm the type of nigga to joke around with my friends. I call them out their names. You know, mean shit, nigga shit. But at the same time, I check on niggas. You know, for the joke to be a joke, you have to get serious at some point. And I love these niggas. I love all my niggas, man. All my homies, all my homegirls, all my people, man. I love y'all. You know? And let people know that you love them too. Because that can be powerful. That can be very, very powerful. Right? I think a lot of people benefit more from just hearing that affirmation that somebody cares. You know, so, and even like in a lot of lasting psychological theories, one of them being Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, the need to belong, satisfying the need to belong is a very, very important need. Obviously not as important as, you know, the need for shelter, food, water, you know, things to survive. But, you know, to kind of survive socially, you need to feel like you belong somewhere. And, you know, sometimes the word social has like a very light connotation to it, like, oh yeah, that's a very social person. But I mean social in terms of referring to a society as a whole. In order to be healthy in society, people need to feel like they belong somewhere. And for anyone who's questioning whether they belong, let me tell you something. Everyone belongs at Freindly, folks. Whether you smoke weed or you don't smoke weed. You know, because like I said, harm reductive cannabis usage, you can't self-medicate forever. You gotta confront your demons. You know? So regardless, if you smoke weed, you don't smoke weed, you'll always have a shoulder to lean on at Freindly, folks. You know, because it's the principle of Freindly, folks. It's the energy that you carry, you know, as a supporter and a member. You know, you just a friendly folk, man. Like, you fuck with the folks. The people, man. You don't lose the common touch. Because if you lose the common touch, then, you know, you just lose your ability to interact with the world as a whole. You lock yourself into a framework, you know, a mindset where you just kind of stuck there. You got to abide by the rules that you set upon yourself, as opposed to living free, in my opinion. So, anyways, when talking about mental health, I feel like it's important to also shed light on men's mental health in particular. As a black man myself, you know, and as an aspiring therapist, see a lot of my brothers in my life, you know, really just not being able to address their mental health like other people have the freedom to do. You know, as a black man, we find ourselves in a very interesting place with the intersectionalities of our identities, you know, being oppressed by the system of racism in America as black people, but also benefiting from, you know, some of the aspects of patriarchy as men. And with that, there's a very intense dynamic of, you know, the masculine burden of sheltering your pain and just, toughing it out. Don't share none of it. Piled on top of the resilience it takes to be black and, the constant mask you have to put on, because you got to work 3 times as hard for 1/3 of the benefits as a black person in America. So it's just the dual identity that systemic oppression places onto black people affects black men and black women differently. I want to talk about, mental health for black women in particular, but as a black man, I don't live those experiences. However, I have seen that, many black women share feelings of being silenced and, really, really strong sentiments of oppression, which is extremely valid. Especially considering how black women have been treated throughout history in America. And us as black people, we just have a much different social dynamic with mental health than other minorities. Based on privilege and based on different factors of oppression. So I want to talk about men's mental health because as a man, I can share my perspective and some of the things that I've experienced, and I'm very open to it. As I'm healing more and more, I believe that being open to it is what society needs. We need more men to not wait until their breaking point to talk about what's going on, but to vent about it, let off a little steam here and there, because one, my father always told me that pressure bursts pipes. And despite my dad being one of the prime examples of, a man who holds it all in, he always stressed that to me. And it took me so long to be able to apply it in my life, because even in knowing that that's the right thing, it's not easy to just, open up. Cause shit don't always be easy. And that's real shit, nigga. But regardless of how difficult things get, good mental health is defined by resiliency. And it's not enough just to be resilient. You have to be empathetic towards yourself. You gotta show some kindness towards yourself, because our mind responds to how we treat ourselves. And we reflect that. So if you very harsh on yourself, it's very likely you might be harsh on others. You're very critical with your standards on yourself. It's very likely you might be critical with your standards of others, which, obviously the way you operate, if it works for you, I'm not one to critique or judge that. But can you understand that the way you operate may not work for other people? And it's not changing the way you operate to meet someone in the middle. It's not changing who you are fundamentally to meet someone else where they are. And sometimes you gotta understand, my therapist gave me a bar lately that's really been sticking with me. She told me that you can't be angry with people who don't know how to think in a way that fosters healing, because society doesn't teach us to think in that way. You can't be mad at people who don't go to therapy for not thinking the same way that a person who goes to therapy would, because therapy is an extracurricular resource. Mental health and mental health awareness and consciousness is something that is an afterthought in this society. And as unfortunate as that may be, what it requires is more resilience from you, the individual. The resilience to have patience for other people, and sometimes go do a little more. Meet people outside the middle. So bringing that back to the example of men, black men in particular, ask your niggas what's going on, man. Like, ask them how you doing, how's your mental, man. And niggas, like, don't be afraid to open up if someone asks you that. If someone asks you that genuinely, just try talking, man. Just, even if it's something slight, like, just try getting it off your chest, because you never know. That person you talking to who asked you, they might just empathize with you on a whole nother level, and just the conversation that comes from it could provide you healing that you didn't even think something as minor as that would have brought you. That's the power of community, though. And speaking from personal experience, some of the most significant conversations in my life have come from my friends hitting me up, like, hey, what you doing? All right, let's smoke. Let's chop it up and smoke. So I'm grateful to have had these conversations, and I can't help but acknowledge that there was a certain herb in the air, and combustion to be specific. But regardless, folks, don't self-medicate. It's 2021. There are resources online for therapy, as well as local resources. And there are websites online to help you find these local resources. In this post, we'll have, I'll screenshot some things that I like. I use Psychology Today to find therapists. I'll have some of the Instagram posts that I like, some things that I really like. And as well as some accounts that are good resources. If you are dealing with mental health issues, or someone who's dealing with mental health issues, know I'm praying for you. D.Alonzo Lang, like, I'm with you, man. For real, like, that's not just me on some, like, on a platform bullshit. Like, no, I really do care. You feel me? And you're not alone. Alright. So, I want to thank y'all for tuning into this bonus episode. This is going to be a really nice week for Friendly folks. We have a lot of content coming out. So, stay tuned to the page. Check it out. We will have something coming on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So, keep your eyes peeled for that. And again, I want to thank you all for supporting the brand, supporting the releases, supporting the series, new episodes. But most importantly, I want to thank you all for supporting yourselves. Supporting yourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Just take care of yourself, folks. Because friendly folks wouldn't be friendly folks if it wasn't a bunch of us. It would just be the friendly folk. You know what I'm saying here? We need y'all. So, again, thank y'all for listening. Praises be to the Most High. Peace and love to y'all. Take care and God bless. Catch y'all on the next episode.